Alright, so we have signed up for a Magic Online account. We have downloaded the program. We have built a deck on the MTG Goldfish website, uploaded it into Magic Online. We've purchased the cards we need to play the deck. So now it's time for us to actually play some Magic. So before we jump into the play lobby, which is where the magic happens, just to refresh, right now we have 8 event tickets that we can use to join events. We have 20 new player points that we can use to join events. And we have 1 complete standard Red-Black Eldrazi deck that we can use to play with. So let's go to the play lobby. And there's a few different options here. So first off, let's talk about constructed open play. This constructed open play game type here is a place that we can play an unlimited amount of Magic for free with our deck. So you do have to own a deck. Luckily, we own Red-Black Eldrazi, so we can play 24/7, 7 days a week without ever paying a cent in the constructed open play room. The downside is you don't win any prizes. You just play for fun. You can play against your friends. You can practice, all that good stuff. There's a few different skill levels here, ranging from just starting out, which is where I would recommend you beginning if this is your first time on Magic Online, up to tournament practice, which is the most competitive. Then there's limited tournaments. So let's click on the limited tournament area. There's a few different options in limited tournaments. So first off, there's queues. These are events that fire as soon as they're filled. There's a bunch of different draft options here. The downside is they're a little expensive for us just starting out. It's 10 to 14 tickets or dollars, since they're equivalent, to join one of them. The one that's important to us is this new to Magic Online Phantom Swiss draft. This is one of the places, I'm going to click details here, where you can take advantage of those new player points. So in all Magic Online events, you can see the entry requirements down at the bottom. For the new player Phantom Swiss drafts, it's 4 new player points. So we can do 5 drafts with those 20 new player points that we get just for creating a Magic Online account. And they are 3 rounds, and they're Swiss, so you get to play all 3 rounds no matter how much you win or lose. They are Phantom, so I should mention this. On Magic Online, there's 2 types of limited events. There are regular events, and in regular events, you get to keep any of the cards you pick in the draft, any of the cards you open in your sealed pool, plus any prizes. Phantom events, you just keep your prizes. You don't get to keep the cards you pick in the draft or open in your sealed pool. But the Phantom events are cheaper because you don't get to keep the cards. So this is a Phantom event, so you don't keep the cards that you pick in the draft, but you win prize packs. So the prize packs for the new player events are 5-card boosters. I think right now they're Battle for Zendikar, but they update as new sets come out. So if you do well, you win several of these 5-card boosters. If you do poorly, I think if you don't win at all, you still win 1. You can't trade or sell those boosters, but what you can do is open them up, hope that you get some sweet cards to add to your collection, and you can trade or sell the cards that you open once you open them. So that's one place we can use those new player points. Also, if we go to Scheduled, Scheduled has events that, unlike the queues, fire at a specific time rather than when they are filled with players. So for us, the important ones are these new to Magic Online Phantom Swiss sealed events. So this one, for example, starts at 7:30. So I think that's an hour and a half from now or something. Yeah, about an hour and a half. And this is almost like a pre-release event. You get 6 boosters, you build your deck out of those cards and those boosters. Again, it's Phantom, so you don't keep the cards from your sealed pool. But you do win prizes, which are those 5-card boosters. If you do well, you win a bunch of them. If you do poorly, you still win a few of them. I think 1 of them at least. And these ones cost 5 new player points to enter. So you can do 4 sealed events with the new player points that you get for creating an account. And these events, both the sealeds and drafts, are going to take a few hours to finish, 2 or 3 hours at a minimum. So you're going to get 12, 15, 20 hours of entertainment just by those drafts and sealeds with your new player points. So it is just by that alone, it's a good investment to create a Magic Online account just for those new player events that you get to play. But where we're heading is constructed tournaments. So constructed tournaments, again, has a few options. There's another new player event where you can test out your standard deck with your new player points, and you win those 5-card boosters if you win. There's scheduled events, but the place to go now in Magic Online where you get the most bang for your buck, or tickets, I guess, is leagues. So leagues are a relatively new addition to Magic Online. And how they work is a league is a 5-match tournament. The big benefit is you can play your matches at any time. So it used to be, if you wanted to play a daily event, which were the best events to play on Magic Online before they changed, you would have to block off 4 hours of your time to play the 4-round event. So you have to plan on, if I'm going to do a daily event at 6 o'clock, I'm going to have to block off my whole evening and plan on sitting in front of my computer until 10 o'clock at night. Well, with leagues, you join the event, and you can play your matches whenever you want. So you can play a match and take a break for an hour or a day or a week, and then play your second match, and then play your third match. Or you can binge on it and play all 5 of your matches right in a row, however you want to do it. There's so much flexibility. So let's click on details for the standard 5-match league, because this is where we're going to be starting out. So again, these are 5 matches. They're Swiss. They cost 8 event tickets to enter. So that's why we have those 8 ticks in our account. And then you get prizes. If you go 5-0, you win 2 boosters and 150 play points. So I should mention Playpoints real quickly. Playpoints are another new addition to Magic Online, and they are basically a second form of currency. So event tickets, which is what we've been talking about, are equivalent to $1, and you can use them on anything. You can buy cards, you can enter events, you can sell them for real money. Playpoints can only be used to enter events, and you can only get them from performing in events as prizes for events. So you can't trade them, you can't sell them, anything like that. They're purely to use to enter in events and to be given as prizes for events. And they are roughly equivalent, 10 of them, to 1 event ticket. So 10 play points is 1 event ticket. So when I say you win 2 boosters and 150 play points, that's the same as winning 2 boosters and 15 event tickets. So if you can go 5-0 in a league, you roughly triple your 8 tickets that you put into it. If you go 4-1, you get a booster and 120 play points, so you basically double your 8 tickets. If you go 3-2, you break even. You get 80 play points, no boosters, 80 play points, so you have exactly enough play points to play another league. And if you go worse than 3-2, you win back less play points. So let's jump into this league with our Red-Black Eldrazi deck and see how it goes. So we're going to do Join League. We have our Red-Black Eldrazi list, so we're going to click Submit. It's going to bring up the entry requirements, so 8 event tickets. As you can see, you can also use 80 play points or 1 wizard tick, which isn't a real thing. It's how Wizards employees, I guess, can use them for testing or something. So click the 8 event tickets. It's going to say if you join the league, it's going to take the 8 event tickets from your collection. Okay, go ahead and join the league. So we are now in the league, and to play a game, we just click Play League Match. So now we wait. It is searching for an opponent for us. It tries to match people up based on record. So ideally, it's going to find someone else who is just starting off in the league as a 0-0 record. And then we'll play our first match. And I will kind of walk you through how to actually play a game of Magic in Magic Online. Alright, so you can see it popped up. An opponent is found. Join the match. So we're going to click Join Match. And now we're waiting for our opponent to join. Alright, so this is the Magic Online gameplay screen. As I mentioned a while ago, one of the great parts about it is how everything's laid out. You can see all the phases laid out here. Upkeep, draw step, main, combat, attack, block, damage, end, combat, main, end. So it makes it very easy and visual. We get 1 the die roll, so we're going to click yes to playing first. And okay, this hand's alright. We don't have any black mana, which is a little disappointing, but we'll try it. We have a couple things we can play. Now, one thing you want to be aware of on Magic Online is with all these phases, if you want Magic Online to stop on them, you have to click this little triangle area to set a stop. So the defaults are stopping on main phase, attack, block, and second main phase on our turn. So, for example, if we want to upkeep stop to make sure we don't go through our whole turn or something, we got to click there. We can also set them on our opponent's turn. If we want to play a removal spell on our opponent's upkeep, we need to set a stop there. Anyway, let's keep this hand and see how it goes. So, to actually play a land, all you got to do is click on it. So we'll just click a land to play our mountain, and then you always have to click OK on Magic Online. You can either actually go over here and click OK, or just click the F2 button, means OK in Magic Online. So that's a good button to get used to. It's pretty helpful. So we'll click OK. Alright, let's play another mountain, and to actually play a spell, you can either click on the spell first, and you can see it says pay a colorless, or a generic, and a red, or you can tap the mana first, so we have 2 red mana floating in our mana pool, and then just click the spell. So we'll play our Kozilek Sentinel, and then another button that's good to know is F6, just passes through your entire turn. It says, I can't do anything else this turn. You, opponent, you can do whatever you want and we're not going to respond. So if you're tapped out and have nothing to do, it saves you a lot of extra clicking, so it can be pretty beneficial. So our opponent's playing a Sylvan Advocate. We can't do anything, so we'll click OK. So it goes back to our turn. Ooh, we drew a swamp. How do we want to manage this? Well, let's attack with our Kozilek Sentinel and see what our opponent does. So to attack, you just go to your attack phase and click on the creatures you want to attack. And now our opponent decides to block, which is fine. So we deal 1 damage to the Sylvan Advocate. And now we want to burn that Sylvan Advocate with Reality Hemorrhage to kill it. So we just click the Reality Hemorrhage, and then it says choose target creature or player. We're going to click on the Sylvan Advocate, and then tap our 2 red mana, and it triggers our Kozilek Sentinel. That's the other great thing about Magic Online, is you get to see how the stack works. So we cast this Reality Hemorrhage, and then Kozilek Sentinel triggers to get +1/+0 whenever we cast a colorless spell, and that trigger goes on top of Reality Hemorrhage, so that resolves first. It gets +1/+0, and then the Reality Hemorrhage kills the Sylvan Advocate. And now we'll just play in Evolving Wilds and pass the turn to our opponent. Our opponent has another Sylvan Advocate and a tap land. Well, we're going to crack our Evolving Wild so we can sacrifice it to search our library for a basic land. So we're going to search for a swamp, so we have 2 swamps and 2 mountains. And now we untap, we draw another land. Alright, I think our plan is just to play our swamp and play this Duststalker to get in some damage. So it triggers our Kozilek Sentinel, Duststalker resolves. Duststalker has a 5/3 with haste, but at the beginning of our upkeep, if we have no other colorless creatures, or the beginning of our end step, we have to bounce it back to our hand. So we're going to attack with that, hit our opponent down to 14, and then just pass to our opponent. Our opponent has another tap land, and passes the turn back. Ooh, Vile Aggregate. Well, I think our plan here is to play our land, play our Nettle Drone. It's going to pump up our Kozilek Sentinel, and then play our Forerunner of Slaughter. So this triggers our Nettle Drone to untap, but we can't actually tap it because it's summoning sick. So this pumps up our Kozilek Sentinel again. And our opponent's going to Crackling Doom in response to kill one of our creatures. Okay. Well, we still get to attack with our Kozilek Sentinel. And probably put our opponent down to 11. And we're actually pretty close to winning this game. So the other button to know, F2 is okay. F6 is skip through the rest of the turn. You also want to know F3, because F3 is a button that cancels out the previous plays. So it's important to be aware of. Do we want to block Sylvan Advocate? I don't think so. So if you hit F6 to skip through the turn, then you get to F3 to cancel it if you change your mind. Well, that worked out. So now we get to tap our Nettle Sentinel to deal a damage to our opponent. Then we get to play a Sludge Crawler, which is going to untap our Nettle Sentinel, so we'll click OK to that. Pump up our Kozilek Sentinel, give us another creature. Then we'll tap our Nettle Sentinel, deal a damage to our opponent. Play a Vile Aggregate, which pumps up our Kozilek Sentinel, untaps, and gives us a 5/5 with Trample. And now we can pay 1 and give our Vile Aggregate haste. And we can attack with our Vile Aggregate. If our opponent wants to kill it, they're going to have to block with their Siege Rhino. Our opponent's going to double block to kill it, so we're going to move things around, kill the Siege Rhino, and then just pass the turn. What's our opponent have here? Read the bone, so they get to scry 2, draw 2 cards, and then lose 2 life. So those are the important hotkeys. There are some other ones. If you, for example, tap your lands and want to undo the tapping, Control Z will undo. But the big ones to remember, F2, F6, and F3. So our opponent goes attacking. Do we want to try to block and kill a Sylvan Advocate? We'd have to block with 3 creatures. I guess we just take the damage. So then we get to ping our opponent with Nettle Sentinel. Oh, that was a bad time to draw a land. If we attack with everything, we're not getting in much damage. Let's just play the mountain and pass the turn. Normally it's a good idea to hold on to lands, but since Sludge Crawler has an ability where you can pay 2 to give it +1/+1 until end of turn, or we probably need to play it rather, so we can do the maximum pumping and make our Sludge Crawler a 4/4. Now our opponent has a Kalitas, Trader of Get, and a Fiery Impulse. It's going to kill our Nettle Drone and give our opponent a zombie token. Opponent's going to go attacking. This time I think we double block and then just pump up our Sludge Crawler. So we kill the Sylvan Advocate, lose our Sludge Crawler, and we draw an Endless One, which isn't bad. At least it's big. Endless One pumps up our Kozilek Sentinel, and it's a 6/6, so it can block all of our opponent's stuff. Whether or not that's enough, I'm not sure. Especially if our opponent could have a removal spell or something. This Kalitas is pretty problematic. Yeah, our opponent has a Crackling Doom, so that kills our Endless One, puts us to 3, and then our opponent can just attack for lethal damage. And they sack a creature to make the Kalitas even bigger. And that kills us. So, well, we didn't win that one, but we were pretty close, and that gives you a pretty good idea of how the gameplay works. F2 is okay, F6 passes through the whole turn, F3 cancels. Make sure to set your stops where you need them for your different phases, and most importantly, have fun with it. So after you finish the first game of a match, you go to the sideboarding screen. So this has our sideboard laid up here. You can sort by different ways. Converted Mana Cost is a good one. So you can see what would we like to bring in against this deck. Grasp of Darkness seems good. It kills Kalitas. Also the creature lands our opponent was playing. Grip of Desolation might also be good. Could even bring in Duress to try to deal with some non-creature spells. We can probably go down maybe the Nettle Drones and a couple of Sludge Crawlers. And then you just click Submit Deck and go on to the next match. So anyway, I'm not going to go through an entire 5-match league. It would make this video incredibly long when it's already pretty long. So I'm going to leave it there. That should give you a pretty good idea how to play. And I will be back for the final section of our Getting Started on Magic Online video to talk a little bit about prizes, so qualifier points, play points, and booster packs, and how you can use those, and how you can win those. So that's how you actually play a game of Magic Online. I will be back with the final section.